Daredevil's the name. Distraction's my game. And if I don't make it, it's been a real slice of heaven, gang. Hang loose, heroes.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. We are continuing our run of Frank Miller's Daredevil, the Man Without Fear, number 182 from 1982. Our previous issue, we covered 181, The Death of Elektra. I have a playlist. Feel free to check it out, as here Frank Miller basically hugs her headstone here with her name on it. And this just looks awesome here, the snow. Miller is quite a creative powerhouse. Now, truth be told, because I have a video that went out there, I don't like Frank Miller's new style, but give me old Frank Miller anytime. And we here have a quote for "In that sleep of death, what dreams may come." And we start out with Matt Murdock. She's alive. He has a big thought here. Frank Miller story and art with Klaus Janson, finished art and colors. I don't know how you can do art and then have someone finish. I think he was doing pencil breakdowns. But based on what I have heard online, is Frank Miller really had a trouble doing a monthly book. So Klaus Janson had to pick up a big portion. And by now he was doing the colors as well here. So eventually he's doing the art and the colors. And Frank Miller's just providing breakdowns. And so again, he's like, she's alive. Beautiful vertical panels by Miller. And then you see him here, beautiful screen tones. Man, Klaus Janson is so good. No, that's crazy. Elektra's dead. She's dead in my arms. I felt her last fitful heartbeat, smelled the blood as it filled her lungs, heard her final death rattle. She's dead. She's alive. I can feel it. I know it. So he's really wrestling with all this. And we continue with his thoughts. Got to think. Remember, somewhere in the past, there's a clue. There's gotta be. And you can see he's got the windows open. I was just a boy when we met. I hadn't told anyone about the accident that blinded me and heightened my remaining senses. I hadn't told anyone, but I told her, he continues. And he grabs his costume here. We were children, loving without pain, without duty. And so he's putting it on here. How did it happen, Elektra? What brought us to this? What made you hurt me so? Did I fail you in some way? He continues putting on his costume. Or were you possessed by some awful inner demon that made you kill and kill? And then he puts on his mask here. You studied the ninja and you became one of them. They taught you all their dark ways of dealing death. And so he is going to go through the skylight and get out. Did they teach you ways of forestalling death as well, or faking it? Did they? And so he jumps out here. So many questions, and they all need answers. You're going to give them to me. And so, nice vertical panel here as he goes through the city. I'm coming for you, Elektra. So this is kind of Daredevil. He can't handle that she is dead. Now, Klaus Janson works with a brush, and part of what you see is nice thin line here, and then a really thick line here. So thin, thick, just awesome. I'm a huge fan of brush. And so now we've got the Punisher at Rikers Penitentiary. He's coming up in the next installment. And so we've got these prisoners saying, dry off real good now. Don't want to catch a cold. And he says, recognize this tall man? And Punisher says, sure, you're three of Injun Joe's boys. And the guy here says, and Injun Joe's flat out in the infirmary because of you. Happy he ain't, says this one. And Punisher says, he was stupid. What about you? And so, yep. So here they come to attack. And Punisher uses his towel here. And he flips him to the back, I guess. And then you see the crack. So probably killed him. Grabs this guy here. Ow. You can see the... And then this guy's like, I got him, Jocko. And then he sends him toward Jocko, which ends up stabbing. He says, don't matter, still got my blade. And Punisher just smiles here. And so, it says here later, 3 men dead in the 4th such incident this week. And the guy here says, you've killed a lot of criminals in your time, Punisher. That makes you extremely unpopular with the other convicts. So he is doing chin-ups here. As long as you're in the joint, you're a target. Of course, none of this is strictly in my agency's purview. And he says, what do you want? And so the guy continues, in 16 hours, a massive shipment of narcotics will be unloaded somewhere in Long Island. Because of certain pressures that have been brought to bear on my agency, I have been ordered to do nothing about this. And he continues, and I won't officially. In this matter, I'm on my own. And then he turns toward the Punisher, just as you must be, when I arranged to get you out of here. So he's basically going to unleash the Punisher. And he says, keep talking. And so the Manhattan offices of Glenn Industries here, beautiful. Oh, Miller and Janson, such a creative force. So these guys are talking here, and so they're trying to take over, kind of force their way into, and so he's like, strictly a formality, Miss Glenn, hardly worth your time. Just another attempt by our legal department to keep itself on budget. And Heather says, I can't make heads nor tails of this. What does it mean? And the guy says, simply a reorganization of administrative sequences to allow for increased efficiency in the supervision of duties. That is all. He's like, she says, sounds like Matt wrote it. And she says, Matt, Matt Murdock, my attorney. Speaking of whom, he made me promise to show him anything before I sign it. And since I happen to be seeing him tonight, and he says, you don't mind, do you? And he goes, certainly not, my dear. Should I call you tomorrow, say at noon? A wake-up call? I don't need Mr. Spindle. And so as she leaves, they're like, flaky broad. And he says, yes, but increasingly tractable. Soon enough, Glenn Industries shall be ours. And so we continue here, and Daredevil's throwing this guy off the window, kicks this guy, kicks this other guy. You can see here missing as they fire the guns. Finally, he goes, okay, so I'll talk already. Word came down from the top. The Kingpin himself, he's holding a kind of summit of the Big Six, the top mobsters of the East Coast, tonight midnight. And he's like, let me down. And so Daredevil continues, summit conference, not what I'd expect. But it might have something to do with Elektra. Maybe the Kingpin is selling electric services to another city. It's early yet. I've got time to switch back to Matt Murdock and find out if the coroner's report has arrived in my office. So you can see he's jumping up, another beautiful vertical panel here. And so she's reading the report here. And finally, after all that, she's like, Matt, do I have to go on? Foggy's almost due with Mrs. Van Leer. Who? The custody case, the big money custody case. Don't you remember? And he's like, keep reading, Becky. All we need is an element of doubt, a hint that maybe Elektra is alive. Alive, Matt. They cut this Elektra person open. She couldn't be alive. And he's like, perhaps they had the wrong body. And she's like, Foggy identified her. They checked her dental records. And he's like, records can be changed. Foggy hadn't seen her in years. What if it was the wrong body? And so here Heather comes in, and she's like, you don't have to tell me who I am, Becky. Matt may be blind, but he's got the best ears in town. Recognize my voice, lover, she says. Heather, what are you doing here? And he says, we've got a date, remember? And he goes, no, I forgot. Can't make it anyway. I'm busy. And he takes her hand away here. You hurt my hand, Matt. What's... And he says, sorry. Becky, the report. I need to know the exact condition of the corpse, particularly the lungs. I know for a fact that Elektra's lungs were filled with blood. If the corpse they examined had clean lungs, and she's like, who's Elektra? And Foggy comes in, and Heather is still like, who's Elektra? And Matt's like, just leave, Heather. We'll talk later. Becky, about the corpse. And they continue with the report, and Heather is leaving. She is very angry. She's like, you'd rather spend time with corpses than me. Why don't you just dig one out, Mr. Murdoch? I hope the two of you are very happy. And so I guess we had a little domestic upset here. And then he laughs. I wouldn't worry, though, Mrs. Van der Leer. Wouldn't at all. We still provide the finest legal services in the country. And then she ends up leaving. And then he goes, Matt, have you lost your mind? And he goes, I don't know. And he leaves. And they just watch. Miller is really good at also creating mood. That is very, very good. And so the next 2 pages are done in black because that is a Miller specialty. And they're seeing the Punisher is leaving, and it's Turk and Grotto, so they're going to try to get out as well. But Punisher is just going to cut the rope here, and sploosh. So now we're back to Daredevil here. And he is dealing with more mobsters here. Miller's just so good again at the pacing. So the Kingpin says finished, and he says good. Now that we have dispensed with the formalities, perhaps you should tell me what it is that you want. And so he says, I want Elektra, Kingpin. She served as your chief assassin, helped you maintain your control over the mobs, and now you're helping her hide from me. And he says his heartbeat. It jumped. Maybe it's because he's afraid or simply astonished. And Kingpin's like, Daredevil, are you ill? Love the screen tone and the colors being applied here. I'm fine. Now tell me, now. Do you, I'm sorry. Let's see here. I'm fine. Now, do you tell me the truth before or after I beat you senseless? And he says, now I understand. This is some elaborate joke, is it not? The Daredevil I know would never resort to unprovoked violence simply to test the theory, would he? And he puts it on and walks away. And he's like, Daredevil's gone. And they're like, does he know? And he goes, he knows nothing. We are free to act. The narcotics delivery shall proceed as scheduled, while the one man I feared my proven obstacle is off chasing phantoms. And so the phone rings here, and he says, hello, this is his wife who's calling. And of course, it's Foggy Nelson. And he says to the judge, and he goes, yes, sir, Your Honor. What can I... Please don't shout, Your Honor. What? What? And then he drops the water glass here. Yes, Your Honor. I mean, no, Your Honor. I don't understand either. Yes, Your Honor. I'll speak to him. I'm sorry. Hello? And so Foggy's wife is like, what's the matter, darling? You're as white as a sheet. He says, it's Matt. He just got Judge Coffin out of bed and tried to make him sign an exhumation order. He wants Elektra dug up. And she says... but that's crazy. And Foggy says, "That's what scares me. I've got to find him," he says. Meanwhile, we got the Punisher here is going to deal with that narcotics thing. So we are just kind of going to hurry it along here. So he shoots some tear gas. The guys get out. Punisher shoots them because he's the Punisher. So, and this guy's like, "I give up." And he's like, "This is war. I don't take prisoners." And shoots the dude. Goodness gracious. And the beautifully done silhouettes. And so the guy goes, "Nice work. Something wrong?" He says, "The last one I shot. A child, just a child." And he says, "Yeah, too bad. Look, Punisher, I don't know how to quite say this, but the director would have my head if I just let you get away. You understand, don't you?" And so he was going to try to bring it in, but Punisher kinks him, and he goes, "Unconscious, good. I couldn't let him take me back to prison. Not now." And he says, "The enemy enlists children. The war has gotten dirtier. I'm needed more than ever." And so Daredevil is going to just dig her up himself here. And he takes the casket out. It's a lot of trouble. Most people would have just jumped in. He opens, he goes, "That smell. Okay. All right. Whoever is in there is dead. But is that you, Elektra? Is it?" Number one, with all the stuff and chemicals they put on the body, they don't start to decompose quite that quickly. And so he's going to touch her face. And he screams no. And he's like, "Dead. She's dead. Elektra's dead." And he's like, "Matt, I'll take you home. Foggy, she's dead. I loved her, Foggy. I loved her." And I think they just put her back. Oh my goodness gracious. And so they're just gonna leave, I guess. So anyway, next issue, Child's Play. So they just leave the body there. That is hilarious here. Oh my goodness. Daredevil 182 by Frank Miller and Klaus Janson. Beautiful with the screen tone again. I love screen tones. Like and subscribe, and I do thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.